said, Milton, you got any money? He goes, yeah, what's it for? I said, don't ask questions.
Never got it.
He's probably forgotten about it.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's got other things to worry about now. Larry's got your tickets.
Yeah. I just gotta pay for them.
You got the tickets without paying for them?
Hey,
I didn't know you extended credit.
only till payday, till tomorrow.
Make you sign your life away? Sounds like the microphones are on. Can't be whispering. Yeah.
Did say it was up. They're doing pretty good. It can't be that big. It keeps postponing it. It was supposed to end in December. So it's really good. They have
Everyone else? How's it going, Chuck? No.
that's why Jason. And my new job, I couldn't go to the later. Yeah.
No.
They're 90, so the doctor said, oh, unless it bothers you.
Staying home.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad thing to do.
Maybe once a week for dinner or breakfast or something other than that. You know, it's just a big mudhole.
It's so hard, I know Tammy, she just had a partial done on hers. They just got back from Hawaii early tonight. And she had to go.
Yeah, but whatever,
She's,
where I'm at, everybody drains down there.
she's had this now for 3 years. And she's altered the way she walks and everything, because the knee was bad.
Yeah.
So she had to get an insert for her foot to make her foot walk back the right way, then that did okay. And the knee was feeling good, then her back was killing her. So she's going to the chiropractor, and before you know the Hawaii, she went up and did a steroid, like an epidural, and then her back, and back articulate. She just, I just can't see going on this drug. That's weird, man, you're only 3 hours, you better figure out how to sit. I said, that's just, hello. Good, how about you? Glad to see you got brave and courage. I see it out of the house. This is it, I'm out of here. Get mad? Oh, you've been in for so many days. I know. Like, oh. You had to go shopping every week. Yeah. Well, no, I don't, I think we went to drive through for dinner. We didn't get out of the car, we went home and ate eggs and bacon. I was like, that's, I didn't want to get out of the car. Yeah. So, oh yeah, me too. It's not right. And Mark's introduced us now to these hydrated potatoes or hash browns, little heart. Oh my goodness. Hungry Jack. And her little, and no, which is great, the freeze dry, you can keep them on the shelf forever, they had expiration date, I'm sure, doesn't matter. Oh, they probably last forever. You just fry it in the pan.
So you
Oh, yeah.
rehydrate first.
That's right, you add hot water to 12 minutes.
Roll up.
Yep, and then you just pour a little bit of water out, whatever comes out.
There's nothing bad in them. I mean, we don't know what, I think it's just circle them up.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no fat or anything.
No.
So I know way more than me.
Hey, should I sit in the mayor's chair?
Go for it.
That'll give him going. As soon as he finds out I'm playing with his camera.
Southern John up north family said. He said, oh, you gotta try these, John loves hash browns, but I always do them from scratch, so I don't make it.
Gotta get
We can share.
pair eye.
I've had these upstairs in the mailbox all the time.
I don't have
got
one.
Yeah, I like breakfast. Hi, everybody. It's better yet. Oh. I don't have to cook. How is Mr. Easley doing?
He's doing well.
I mean, Larry, we have to do the whole thing.
Oh, no worries. Guys hanging. Mr. Food, he's, yeah, you know, I have no problem.
There you go.
All good, all good, yes, safe. And years ago, I got a message. It was a good meeting. Fine, how are you?
No complaints.
But it was productive.
Yeah.
Things coming up.
Yes?
Oh, he's right. I actually unincorporated programs. They really don't know, I mean, if you got something operating, whether they go there,
Anything else good?
go to next year's. They see it there and they assume that it.
Stuff we got last night. I didn't.
What's the other one? Put it out.
I'll see you later.
Always.
How is that?
Good evening.
Good to see you.
Let's have a one heart together.
Oh, dear.
Hi, Jenny.
See you had the new look, huh? I was looking at you last night there. You.
How are you doing?
Good.
Mom and Dad had a good trip out west?
Not
long enough to go.
Yeah, probably not. Well, I don't know. They were like, Sharon, I don't know, they were talking about Sharon. She called, I don't know how many days
I know
about Sharon, so it might have been 2 weeks. I was like, she called me, goes, she won't pay for anything. She doesn't want to eat anymore. All she eats is junk. And I'm like, you know this. You know, you know this. We go on trips with her all the time.
It'd be an interesting trip for you.
Yeah.
Very interesting, I'm sure.
Although, all in outside.
Well, hello, Smiley. How are you?
Well, good to see you back.
It's always good to see you. You know that.
Pushing each other.
Thought maybe they'd start without me.
Oh, he made it. We're just trying to figure out who's in charge of it.
What'd you do with the lawyer?
Coming. The long talkers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No, she is. She called.
What's that?
She's gonna come in late tonight.
Oh, she's coming late. Oh, I thought you said the meeting's gonna be, I misheard you.
She's coming late. She's on her way.
Well, let's just delay. We'll just delay the start.
Yeah. Don't do that, Jesus. Then she'll want that all the time.
How are you, Mr. Mayor?
There we go.
Low rider.
That's not all right.
How are you, Chief?
I'm good. How you doing?
We're trying to figure that out. We tried to figure it out last night, but despite
The meeting last night, huh?
how do you say?
It was a good one.
For those that are wondering, we're waiting on one trustee who's due imminently, so. Imminently? It's a long word for my short mind. Well, him too. No.
It's been a long time since we talked. It's a very. Which is both good and different.
Oh, yes, sir. They have the opportunity to, they didn't. He only, yeah, he only got, he's the only one that got one.
I'm doing.
Yeah, he's the only one that
You're
got it.
doing well. Good.
Yeah, that's okay, don't worry about it.
All right, we're keeping her busy with all the
Don't worry
kids
about
and
it, don't worry about it.
grandkids.
In fact, I'll drop in to see her and she's not home.
Got to make
So
an appointment
I
with
gotta
her.
start making, yeah, so I gotta start making the calls. Okay, have you got her today? No, I don't have her. Finally, I'll track her down.
It's similar, yeah. He just format, I think he formatted it different, he's gonna give, we might ask him if he'd give all, copy of it. It looks like it.
Well, I like to consider it that way, that makes me.
We try to put a playing field.
Yes. She's delayed, she called, she's.
No problem, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Side effects from prednisone.
All right. I will call the village board meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gust. Trustee Jensen.
Here.
Trustee Addison. Trustee Siddick.
Here.
Trustee Wells.
Here.
Attorney Magna. Mayor Hooker.
Here.
And Clerk McDonald here.
Okay. If you would all, just in time, you just missed the roll call,
Close
but
your book.
call her name anyway.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
All right. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States
States of America,
and to the republic
republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we have our first item, which is the consent agenda, which includes the following. The approval of the minutes from the January 23rd, 2014 board meeting. Bills presented for payment in the amount of $515,448.96. Building report, code enforcement report, planning and zoning report, engineers report, and the public safety report. That's a lot of reports. Is there anything that the board would like to have pulled and discussed separately? Is there anything that the public would like to have pulled and discussed separately? Being nothing, I would accept a motion to approve the
Move.
consent
Second.
agenda. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Addison?
Aye.
Trustee Siddick?
Aye.
Trustee Wells?
Aye.
Trustee Gust?
Aye.
And Trustee Jensen.
Motion carries. Into the trustee reports tonight. I have nothing from the the TIF committee. I just jumped ahead of you there, Larry.
No
That order changed at some point, and I just can't get used to it. We did not have a TIF meeting this month. Building and zoning, Trustee Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. Don't have a report upon tonight, but I would like to, if I could focus your attention briefly on the document you have, I think all the trustees and the mayor have before them, and it's a 2013 overview of the building, planning, and zoning and code enforcement accomplishments. Just wanted to acknowledge our John, Jeremiah, Jerry, and staff for an amazing job with a very limited staff at hand, but they actually accomplished a lot in 2013, including issued and administered over 474 building permits, provided 501 work order tasks, which brought in approximately $36,000 plus, administered about 79 business certificates, a number of conditional use variances and map amendments, about 20 liquor license permits, as well as a host of other issues that were addressed during the course of the year. We did have a meeting last night of the Building, Planning, and Zoning Committee, a very productive meeting. And if you think 2013 was busy, 2014, we have a host of different issues and topics that we think will benefit the village immensely that will be forthcoming in the year 2014. And again, just want to thank our staff. And again, I look for a very, very productive 2014. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Next, we have Public Works, Trustee Addison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one item under Public Works is to authorize extension of an intergovernmental agreement with Benton Township. If you'll recall, it's the same arrangement we've had for quite a few years. This is extending it 4 years, and it establishes the services that are covered and payment and things like that, and how they contact us. And it's basically the same thing, but it's a 4-year extension. So that would be ordinance number 3?
Yep.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 3, authorizing execution of intergovernmental agreement between the village and Benton Township.
Second.
We have a motion and a couple seconds. Any discussion?
I have one simple question. I see that we're paying them the labor costs associated. Is that all in cost, do you know, or does that include benefits, or is that just it is? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Jensen?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Addison?
Aye.
Trustee Siddick?
Aye.
Trustee Wells?
Aye.
And Trustee Gust.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's it.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Next, we have Finance Committee, Trustee Jensen.
Since our last meeting, we've not had a meeting, so I have nothing to report except that our next meeting is the 19th, and it will be exciting as always. Please come join us 6 o'clock p.m.
We're going to have to get you a bigger room. if
We'll
you-
need a bigger room.
Yeah. One day. All right. Public Safety, Trustee Siddick.
No report tonight.
No report tonight. All right. Public Relations and Economic Development, Trustee Miller.
No report tonight.
Next, Parks and Recreation. I know Richard's
Better have
got a
a report
report
from this
tonight.
guy.
Only thing I have is we got Luck of the Irish coming up on March 17th, Monday, Illinois Beach Lodge. We'll have lunch, raffles, music, and a whole lot of fun. And I heard that, what's his name's gonna come in.
Ernie,
I'm supposed to show up.
good old what's his name?
Hopefully he'll be there, but
You know,
come join us if you got time.
they say you'll never forget all what's his name.
Oh, that's true. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. No report from the engineer or the treasurer tonight. Next, then, we have the Administrative Services Director's report. John, what do you got for us tonight?
Thank you, Your Honor. The first ordinance before you tonight is consideration of an ordinance accepting real property from Ronald Jackson. There's 2 parcels of land. They're both 30-foot by 120-foot lots. The address on the first one is 38127 Manor Avenue, and the second one is 38431 North Shore Avenue. Upon the direction of the Public Works Committee, we have negotiated a deal with Mr. Jackson to acquire both of these pieces of property. Essentially, we will be buying the 38431 North Shore Avenue for a price of $540.10, and in return, Mr. Jackson will donate the 38127 Manor Avenue, and the village will be responsible for the 2013 taxes.
All right, any, well, I guess we have an ordinance in front of us, which would be ordinance number 4, should it pass. Any motion to, we
I would move that we adopt this ordinance.
Second.
have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yes, do I get one of those for part of my parks?
Whatever you'd like, sir.
Thought I'd ask.
This would be the cat lot, where the cats can run around.
There you go.
They don't need a lot of room, so. All right, any other discussion?
I was just a little curious. Is there a potential use for these properties, or
One lot will adjoin an existing lot that the village owns.
And
so-
we
the
own,
one on
actually,
North Shore?
Yeah,
We
so
own
that
two
would be a
lots next to it.
Oh,
potential
two of them, okay.
building site or something someday. The other lot, not so much. It's adjacent to our right-of-way. And we own a lot of lots like that around, many that we inherited from the old Beach Park Sanitary District, and,
Well, we'll take it.
yeah,
seems like a bargain.
the price is right. All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
And Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries.
What number?
The next item before you tonight is consideration of an ordinance establishing regulations for video gaming in the Village of Beach Park. This has incorporated many of the regulations and the requirements that the village board had requested upon many of the previous discussions in the COW as well as the previous board meetings. There is one thing that is not included in this ordinance that's before you tonight, and that is signage regulations. There is currently no signage regulations in this ordinance as it is tonight. Certainly, the attorney can explain the options that are available to the board upon consideration.
And to add to that, the challenge with the signage is we're in the midst of a comprehensive sign ordinance review, are about to embark on one, which could affect certainly the standards throughout the village for any number of signs. One consideration would be an outright prohibition for any permanent signs. We do have a permit process that would allow temporary signage within the temporary signage ordinance that we have, and buy a little time to create proper regulation through the sign ordinance review that's going on. The risk is if we allow the tavern owners to invest in new signage and then we change the ordinance, then it creates an amortization period where they would have a certain amount of time to unwind that. And so it's certainly at the board's pleasure whether we want to include any provision, consider a prohibition, or try to craft something tonight on the fly to cover whatever variety of sign regulations you might want to have included in this. If we do nothing, then basically they would have to operate within our current sign ordinance, but that may not meet the concerns that were expressed at the last meeting, so. Do you have anything to add to that? It's because you just told me it before we came to the room. I can do nothing, I can copy what you say. That's
Well,
good.
I've said before, if any signs are allowed, I would like it to mirror our home occupation signs with what's got a size limit, like whatever 12 by 12 it is in the ordinance.
I think it's, what did you say, John?
2 foot by 3 foot.
6 square feet total, 2 foot by 3 foot is the
That's in the
maximum.
home occupation?
I believe that's what we,
I thought it was,
That's smaller than that.
Yeah.
Smaller than
I
that.
thought it was 12.
Well,
12 also.
regardless, it would be a matter of trying to determine that tonight, or, as I say, another option would be to put a prohibition in place for no signage, no permanent signage, and then to
Well,
address
it's
it.
the temporary signs that are a problem in my
Well,
opinion.
but they would be regulated in duration and size and all that, as our ordinance would permit.
Mayor, if I may, from what we've been told in the past, there's a considerable lag between application and granting of licenses by the gaming board. So I think we'd have time to craft, if we were to have an outright ban for those signs now, it would be kind of moot, because by the time, we'd have time to craft an ordinance before the sign ordinance could then address that before they would be putting signs up.
The schedule I'm aware of right now for the sign review, including public hearings, and that is 7 to 9 months. So it may not, that may not be done in time. Now, we might be able to craft a separate ordinance and just simply address.
I misunderstand. 7 to 9 months for what?
For we're basically embarking on a comprehensive review of the sign and zoning ordinance for purposes of
Right.
aligning them and then considering some of the newer signages that are out there, LED, et cetera. That process is slated right now for a 7 to 9 month time frame.
Which may eclipse the time for the other.
Yeah.
Well, however, it's certainly, if we were to enact a moratorium tonight
Right.
for those signs, we'd have many months
Right.
to rather than do it on the fly,
Yep.
as you termed it.
Right.
We'd have many months to craft a separate ordinance if we felt necessary before these folks would be coming to us
Absolutely.
for stickers.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I say that the moratorium or prohibition of video gaming sign is something that would be easily unwound after it was considered and acted upon.
Yeah, I think that if indeed the board decides to go forward with permitting the video gaming, this would afford the tavern owners an opportunity to begin the application process with the gaming board.
Right.
There'd be no need to hold up that process because of signs that would be installed some months hence, as long as we were able to prohibit them in the interim.
Any other thoughts on that process? That we could simply add language in that would say something to the effect of, there shall be no exterior signage advertising the availability of video gaming.
Or the forthcoming availability of video games.
Right, well, and that would go in the ordinance, and of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
And that would be inserted
That's, I think you just add
in the regulations,
to
5,
the regulations.
number 10.
You've got 518070. I would call it 518075,
Okay.
because then it'll fit without having to renumber everything after that. You have a little margin, the way that your descriptions of your sections. So section 518075, signage, video gaming signage prohibited. And
Yep.
then, as I stated there.
Yep, there shall be no exterior signage of advertising the availability of video gaming.
And that could be repealed at a later date or
Yes.
superseded by the sign
Any other
ordinance.
ordinance
Yep.
of the village, yes.
Just basically would put any potential licensee on notice they shouldn't go out and spend a bunch of money on a
Right.
sign and then be disappointed by a change in the ordinances. They still would have to apply, be reviewed and everything else, but if it fit in the current ordinance and the board was opposed to whatever the ordinance would allow, we certainly wouldn't want to mislead them, so. Well, so that is an amendment that I guess we would, when we get to the point of considering the motion to approve, we'll add that into the motion then. A question came up, the State Gaming Board, the State Gaming Board made recommendations to the legislature to change a gap in the law, which basically addressed the middleman broker, unlicensed broker, individuals that may be out there getting agreements signed with potential licensees, and then passing that business along to a licensed operator or, what's the right John, you just said it, terminal operator. My understanding, and I would ask that anyone here that knows differently correct me, my understanding is that ASAP Gaming is the entity that the taverns have been working with. Is that accurate? Or is that up in the air still? It's up in the air still? Okay. We do know them to be a licensed terminal operator. That is one consideration that we do know that that group is. But if there's not a pre-addressed contractor, so to speak, that's going to be handling, the operator to be handling this, it's difficult to know whether that would fall into that gap that's in the state act right now. The legislature elected to not take action on that request, the committee that oversees the Video Gaming Act, and threw it back to the commission saying that the language in their proposal was overly broad and they wanted it limited, although apparently this is the same language that's used, or similar language that's used in the other gaming ventures throughout the state. They didn't see fit to include it here, and I know that's causing some consternation on our board as we sit here tonight. Question to the attorney, in our ordinance, can we require a licensed operator, or is that purely subject to the state and their laws and whims?
Let me just kind of work through it. The village, if it passes this ordinance, is going to require a local application for a local video gaming terminal sticker.
Right.
So you could add into this ordinance as a part of the qualifications to obtain the required video gaming terminal sticker that the applicant must show and disclose to satisfaction whoever's going to be reviewing the application here, that all parties in the process of the acquisition and installation of the video gaming terminals are appropriately licensed by the State Gaming Board. So the short answer to your question is yes, you can deal with it in here as part of qualifications for the receipt of a video gaming terminal sticker.
And who would do that work of vetting those people for us?
Whoever is going to be tasked with reviewing the applications, it's like your liquor applications, you know, you task the sheriff with checking the background of the applicants and licensing, gaming board licensing can be obtained online, who's got licenses. I'm sure that's how you determine this.
But you're
So-
saying has to meet the requirements of the gaming board. If the law isn't changed, the requirements of the gaming board, that's,
They don't require it.
What the gaming board, the article in the Tribune, that the Tribune apparently broke this a while back.
in January.
About a month ago.
The Tribune, actually, a Tribune report in October exposed loopholes that allow unlicensed middlemen into the mix. Bar owners sign exclusive contracts with the middlemen, who then sell these contracts to licensed companies that provide the machines. So you got a roving sales force out there making deals and then reselling that. And the point from both the Daily Herald and the Tribune are that this opens the door to unscrupulous business practices, and they felt that the loophole should be closed. The gaming board acted quickly to close the loopholes in November to approve new rules to bar unlicensed people from involvement in video poker contracts. It also voted to create a blacklist of individuals banned from doing business with video gaming gambling companies. There's already a similar list for casinos. They weren't breaking any new ground, and basically the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules rejected the reforms without question or warning. So basically, they kicked it back and said no, and kind of left that hole. The warning in here does go on to include that, you know, with the number of municipalities considering adding video gaming, that this is something that boards need to consider, and certainly that's something that some have taken to heart on our board here.
Pardon my naivete, but I don't see is there a downside, is there a risk for the village or our residents or even the tavern owners of this kind of an arrangement? I mean, I can see where you could have unscrupulous third parties involved, but in the end of the day, it'll be state licensed vendors that supply the machine to taverns that we regulate. So if they sign a bad deal with this middleman and don't realize the profits that they might otherwise, is that the main?
Well, obviously,
Risk there?
I can't say that I see a direct risk or I don't see a direct risk, because I'm not convinced that I completely understand what the gaming board is saying.
Then I'm not the only naive one. Good.
The gaming board has sent up a flag and said this needs to be changed, and the
Right.
legislature has said no.
I read the article and I didn't understand there's a potential downside for whoever signs a bad deal.
My understanding is that the risk comes in the middleman. You have the bar owners, and they, as I understand it, they sign a contract with some person, some individual, like a broker. And then the broker sells these contracts that the bar owners signed to the providers of the gaming equipment.
Right.
And there could be profit under the table by the middleman if that middleman was unscrupulous.
I think you've accurately reflected what the gaming board is concerned about.
Right.
And what Trustee Jensen is indicating is that really our concern? If somebody's going to violate the state law, or if somebody's going to use it to their advantage, is that our concern? And is there a risk to the village per se, and/or directly to our businesses? Maybe to our businesses. Certainly, we don't want to see them get harmed, but is it our place? And that's a valid question.
The state is looking for a way to figure out how to tax it. Go figure.
I think they're just not interested in slowing down the speed that this is advancing.
Right. I think that's probably a good portion of it as
And
well.
tax it.
Well, yeah, money.
I will say that I spent some time today on the video gaming site of the state, and
Yeah, how'd you do?
it's an interesting experience. They're not interested in carving the data up at all for you or making it easy, but I can tell you that as I scanned through the 1,000 or whatever communities there are listed there, what's clear to me is there's probably at least 7 yeses, meaning communities permit, to every 3 no's. You know, it's a pretty good ratio of, and I don't have the total numbers, and they're not accurate. What they have on their website's not current. But it's close. Lake County is in there, Highwood's not, you know, so they're within a couple months probably. And interestingly enough, some have modified. We've got some that are excluding truck stops. We've got some communities that have dry towns that are allowing truck stops, and everything in between. So to our point, basically, as I've said before, it's our understanding that this is a once-and-done reversal of the ban that was put in place. If we do this, and for some reason down the road we don't want it, it's kind of so sad, too bad. There's not even a provision. Whereas if we wanted to become a dry town, we could have a referendum, and the citizenry could vote to ban alcohol in Beach Park, which would have the effect of banning gaming. Heck of a way to get there. On the other hand, there is no provision in the Act to let the citizenry speak on this, so it does fall on to us. If we've taken our one bite at this apple by blocking it, and if we unwind it tonight, it is a once and done, and we're not coming back to it again. So just an interesting point. With that being said, is there any other points that the board want to raise tonight about this before we get into the actual motion to address?
Well, this is whatever good a time as any. I'm just going to say that in 2009, when we voted to ban video gaming, 6 out of 7 of us all voted in favor of banning it. The only thing that's changed since then is the fact that we're seeing the state of Illinois has no interest in slowing down the speed at which this is advancing, even with the whole unscrupulous licensing thing and whatever. We had a county board member here telling us, well, they banned signs in all unincorporated Lake County. I drove past two taverns in unincorporated Lake County today that have the tackiest signs you've ever seen. So if the county's having trouble with a whole building full of code enforcement people, I don't see how we're going to regulate it on weekends and nights when there's nobody around. The other fear that I have is that once all these permits are issued and the things level off and the numbers aren't coming in the way the state likes them to come in, what's to say they're going to change the definition of a truck stop or change the regulations that anyone with any kind of a liquor license can have 5 machines, or they can have 10 machines. You know, we have absolutely no control, you know, once we let this go. I have nothing against our local business owners, but I just don't think we need it. It's something that, you know, the state doesn't even necessarily have to give us our share. We've all agreed that we want to be less dependent on state giving us things, and I just don't think it's worth it.
Well, I'll just say that a couple of months ago, I was in full support of it, and what I have come to decide is that the new information that's just come out, I've got real concerns about how the Illinois Gaming Board has had its hands tied. I think that this is an industry that needs to be very carefully regulated and very scrupulously regulated, and all the individuals involved should be vetted appropriately. And until such time as that is back in place or corrected or changed, and that's the way the industry is regulated, then I've got concerns about it as a whole, and I won't support it.
Is there anyone here tonight from the public that would like to address the issue for the sake of the board before we dive into a? Well, please come up to the podium so we can get you on the video, because you are a TV star at this moment.
On these regulations that the state has, from what I understand, and I'm not familiar with the state turns the machines on, the machines off. Is that right? Regulates.
My understanding is the state does control the machines, yes.
They control as far as the income, they send you the checks. And if there's any scrupulous people that are trying to get involved in this, I can't see how they can possibly get involved. The state regulates it, and they send you the check, and they monitor the income of the money coming in.
The unscrupulous part that they're talking about, not to cut you off, but is the people you would be dealing with when you sign a contract. In other words, the potential exists. You could have an unlicensed person, a broker, so to speak, come in, convince you this is a great deal, get you to sign a contract, and then that's the last you see of that guy because he sells it to another operator that you've never met. And that's, again, that state has chosen not to get involved in that at this point. So at this point, it's fend for yourself. And my only advice would be make sure you're dealing with a licensed operator, not with a broker, because that's what the gaming board is concerned about. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it's going on. Well, I haven't heard about it here, but yeah. Right. Right.
Small as the villages that we've got here, I can't imagine that we can't monitor all this, where the signage is accordingly, that the right people and the right bars have the right people. There's only about 3 that I know of that are licensed with the state to handle all this. Estes is one of them, and there's another one also that.
There's about 40 or 50 on the website, you know, there's a bunch of them. But again, this is all new to us, and that's why we're having the discussion out in the light of day to make sure that we're considering all the points. And this is something that's made the Tribune and the Daily Herald as a significant concern. Obviously got someone else's attention as well, and it came with a warning directly pointed at us. So we're heeding it, and we're talking about it, so.
May I just say, I don't have an issue with gaming. I mean, I don't have any issue with casinos, gaming. I do have an issue with inappropriate vetting of individuals involved.
As do all the bar owners.
Introduce yourself,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry, Ed Sprinkle, with Clark's, Wadsworth, I live. There isn't a single bar owner here that will not do anything that you guys do not want them to do. If it's signage, they won't put signs up. If it's scrupulous people, put an ordinance in, like you just did, and tell them. They only can deal with licensed vendors.
The point is, we can't tell you that, and we can't put an ordinance in place to overrule what the state law says, and that's why we're discussing it.
I understand, but also by using fear and personal beliefs, I don't think is the proper way to govern.
I'm sorry, what fear and personal beliefs are we talking about?
I don't want to go down that path. They bought the bar thinking that they would have the support of the village. Now, if this does not get approved, they are behind competitively other people that haven't.
Well,
All we're asking
Video
for-
gaming wasn't legal when any of you bought the bars, right?
I
It wasn't.
understand, exactly.
There you
Okay.
go.
So it had to
All right,
be
I just
known
wanted to
that
make
this
sure.
park wasn't going to support the local businesses and surrounding communities.
Well, that decision was made in 2009. The current status we're in today.
I understand.
And so I just want to make sure we're clear on that. The village prohibition went into effect in
All we're
2009.
asking for is your support.
I understand. You,
Because we'll follow all the rules, no troubles, it's just,
okay,
we're at a disadvantage if it doesn't, then it hurts the values of the businesses.
understood. Is there anyone else here that would like to have their say tonight? Okay. This would be a time to try to craft a motion, should anyone wish to. We have discussed adding a section 5.18.075, and we can certainly insert that language in if the motion wants to be crafted.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from trustee Siddick.
Second that motion.
Let's make the motion clear just before we second it. As I understand, if I understand the intent correctly, this would be 2014-04, an ordinance establishing regulations for video, 5, sorry.
Right.
05. An ordinance establishing regulations for video gaming in the Village of Beach Park. There would be a section added, 5.18.075, stating exterior signage. There shall be no exterior signage advertising the availability of video gaming. The only other discussion we had was with regards to licensed operators and or licensed brokers, and quite frankly, I don't think we're going to make any ground on that. And on the local level, that's going to be a state issue. So unless Trustee Siddick have I accurately
Absolutely,
stated
you
your
have,
motion?
and we're certain that we could not add a provision that way for the purpose of this licensing of these brokers.
I don't see a way that we could prohibit a broker if the state law doesn't prohibit a broker. Am I accurate? Because what we'll get for
I
a
think that's what
license-
they're struggling about.
Yeah.
Because they can't tax something they can't regulate.
Right. And from our perspective, we'll be issuing a license sticker to each terminal, but that would come, at that point, it would be past the broker stage. We wouldn't know about the broker's existence until we actually had a licensed operator, terminal operator, coming to us asking for the license sticker. So,
So with that aside, then the motion adding the 5.18.075 with the exterior no signage, and that's the motion.
that's your motion, okay.
And I will second the motion
We
as
have a
amended.
second from trustee Jensen. Discussion. Anything additional? I'm going to take a wild leap here and guess that we're about to have a split vote. But that being said, as most that have attended our meetings and watched our meetings know, it's very rare for our board to be divided on anything. So this, the reason this topic has taken the time it has to get to this point is because it is a significant change from what was a unanimous vote in 2009. We can now see what it looks like. We can see some experience out in the communities around us. We can see the wave rolling across the state of communities that have either changed their mind or just outright permitted it or not prohibited it, whichever case it might be. And so we stand here today considering something that I don't think we could have done a more thorough job of vetting and looking over all the dynamics, including the fairness issues, the competitive issues for the businesses, the desire for some residents to not have to leave our village to gamble, the desire for some residents to not want gambling in our village. And all said and done, it's here and it's now. So any other comments before we go to the vote?
Well, I agree, everything you said is well said, and I respect the positions of trustee Otterson and our colleagues here on the board. And as you said, these have been, we've really gone over this with a fine-tooth comb. I've sat in, not only my committee, the Finance Committee, I also sat in on the Public Safety Committee. We found not a shred of evidence of any issues as far as legal issues, public safety issues in the communities that have already established gaming. From the Finance Committee perspective, there's an opportunity for, albeit a small, additional income to the village, So I think we've done all of our due diligence on this thing, and it is time to vote on it.
Okay. All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Siddick?
Aye.
Trustee Wells?
Nay.
Trustee Gust?
Aye.
Trustee Jensen?
Aye.
Trustee Miller?
Nay.
And Trustee Otterson?
No.
Go figure. Who would have seen that coming? My understanding is the way the state statutes currently read, that the mayor may vote to break a tie. There's a recent change in the writing of the state statutes, untested and unproven in court, so I will not choose to exercise that opinion tonight. As I said before, this is something that our community has a lot of time into, our board, our businesses, and there's not one person here that hasn't given it everything they had as far as the questioning. We have businesses in our community that are struggling as a result of the various limits that the village has, as well as the permissions that neighboring bars have. Quite frankly, if there's one thing that tips the scales for me, it's that. I wish the state would never have taken the step to put this ordinance, to put this in place. I'm extremely disappointed that they saw fit to do this, but that ship has sailed, and the state has made a decision that really goes beyond us. We don't have the ability to legislate what our neighbors do, and therefore, if we choose not to do it, we put our businesses in a significant disadvantage. That, I believe, is a fact. I won't vote on this in favor of this for revenue. I don't believe that it's a good source of revenue for the village. I don't think it's a good source of revenue for the state. I think they're kidding themselves, and I think they are hurting the state significantly. If $1 billion of money is lost, waged, gambled, and lost in the state, that's $1 billion that's not going into the pockets of small businesses. It's $1 billion that's not going into the car makers and to the construction companies and to the painters and to the lawn care people. That's a lot of money coming out of our economy. It's going to benefit some very select groups. It's going to benefit the state, and they get that money for sake of writing the rules. It's going to benefit the businesses that are providing the video gaming terminals. That's their business. I'll bet it's a profitable one. And it's going to benefit the taverns, in this case, to keep them on a level playing field. I think overall, long-term, that this is going to be a flat industry. I think it's going to hit a certain point and flatten out, and the more communities that add this and the more businesses that come to Beach Park and say, we want a liquor license so we can gamble, that's more businesses that are going to be cutting into everybody else's shares. And, Waukegan, Highwood hasn't even started yet. They got 35 or so bars that qualify. There's only so many dollars out there to be lost, and I think overall, we're going to be seeing a lot less rosy picture down the road. That being said, for today, I'm being told by our tavern owners that this is a survival issue, and if I'm nothing else, I'm an advocate for small business. And for that reason, I'll vote yes. So, at that, the motion carries, and we will move on. So, tonight, we have one report from the attorney.
No report, Mayor.
Okay. Clerk's report?
No report.
Thank you. I have no other report from the mayor. Is there any other citizen that would wish to address the board tonight?
Charlie Easley, 9786 Paxton Beach Park. Kudos to our Public Works Department. Can we do something, or can you do something? These private snow plowers that plow it in the street, can you find the homeowner who hires that person? Can we send our village ordinance inspector out after and see where this snow's being plowed to? It's ridiculous on Paxton, and I know a lot of other streets that are bad. They just plow it right in the street and don't clean up. It wouldn't be bad if they cleaned it up.
Right.
I think you need to address that. It's not our snowplower's fault. It's the guy out on the street that,
Right.
I'd be willing to bet half of them don't have insurance, and we need to look at that point of view also. Number 2, garbage. I will be the first one to stand here and say I'm against it.
Garbage?
In general, or?
The franchise fee that you want with, single garbage.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I read in the New Sun, and she's here, safety. That's one of the reasons you want it. Are you gonna have in the franchise fee no two-siding? Are you gonna single side? Are you gonna go by, the garbage industry's insurance company's safety rules when we put it out to bid? I know the garbage industry, not 100%, and I have been out for 6 years, but I do know. I've got a garbage company that picks up on my street today, he double sides. It's not against the law per se, but it's unsafe. He parks in the middle, anybody that's coming down to the end of the street can't get through until he's done with the street. He don't move over at all for him. This needs to be addressed. I hear about safety of our roads or demolition of our roads because so many trucks are coming down our street. When we get back into the building boom and homes are being built, will we be enforcing the rules on ready-mix trucks the way we want to enforce on garbage trucks? I know the ready-mix industry. They come down with 2 tickets out of Wisconsin. One ticket will say 5 yard, the other ticket will say another 5. He's hauling 10. And he isn't legal with a Wisconsin legal truck with over 4.5. We need to enforce that if we want to, if you're saying that your garbage trucks are on our roads, we also need to enforce the overweight trucks on ready-mix, and they are overweight, let me tell you. I don't think I was pulled over more than 4 times in 20 years. And I don't think 98% of the time I ran illegal. That's what they put in, that's what you haul, and the company pays the fine. You can't say no. Next thing I want to know is, are we going to, on the garbage, are we going to ask that the companies, I know you can't say hire local residents, but are we going to look in to see what the roster of the company is, that they have Illinois Beach Park residents on this, Lake County residents on these trucks? Why would we want to get rid of people who are living in Beach Park, doing the job, and put it out to a company that's not? I don't know if there's anybody from Wisconsin who's going to bid. My concerns are the wage difference between Wisconsin and Illinois. That's not fair. We are close to the line. We do need to maintain. The Wisconsin company comes down here and sure they're cheaper. Well, tax money's going back in there, not cheap. it just hit me wrong over there when we were talking about the video gambling, and Rudy said the state of Illinois wants to tax it, wants to make money. What is a franchise fee if it isn't a tax?
Pales in comparison.
It doesn't really matter. I don't care if it's $1 or $1,000. It's still a tax.
Right.
That's what you want. I mean, you want, and I understand. But if you're gonna tax me and tell me I can't use the company that I wanna use, that's not right. The big thing in my mind is I know who I wanna use. I know what they do for their members, what they do for the community. I don't want somebody coming here under bid that doesn't do those things. So those are my thoughts, and I'm sorry that you didn't put it out to a committee of citizens to ask. I think that sucks, and I think you should be ashamed of that. But that's the only thing I think you should be ashamed of. You're doing a great job, others.
Well, actually, we did ask for feedback from the entire,
I came.
from the entire community in our newsletter.
I came, that's that. I came and talked. But I would like to see a committee for input to the board, like
What-
to the building and zoning.
The RFP has, if I may address you, Mr. Easley, the RFP has not been released. The concerns that you raised, many of those concerns have already been worked into the RFP. The two-sided garbage pickup has been addressed. That is something that addressed. As far as getting the roster of employees, it's not typical to ask for a roster of all the employees. What we are asking for is the chain of command, the people that will be working in the Village of Beach Park, and information on those individuals. Many of the things that you raised have been addressed in the RFP. Certainly, the board has not taken any action on the garbage other than authorizing solicitation of the bids. But the bids, after the bids are received, those will be evaluated. That's when the village board will have the opportunity for input and also for consideration of something that, before the decision is made as far as whether the village is going to choose Advanced Disposal, Groot, or a Wisconsin company, or whatever that you're implying. So none of those steps have been taken yet.
I agree with everything you just said, except for the fact, before you went this far, you should have asked the citizens what they would like. I can go sit in a restaurant, and I can get 10 people for, 10 people against.
The village has had articles in the newsletter for over the past year asking for input about the garbage, as well as conducting a survey of the garbage pricing of the residents.
And
That,
does anybody come in?
yes, sir.
Very good. Then I rest my case, but I would hope that you would stick to living wage, not minimum wage, but living wage, insurance, benefits, all the things that a person out there in today's world needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Easley.
I live in a cul-de-sac, and for the first year in the 30 years that I have lived there, that a snowplow actually came down and did it right.
We've had a lot of practice this year.
Had a lot of practice this year. Yeah,
Good, thanks.
thank you. And an add-on to Mr. Easley's original comment, I drove around after not the last snow, but the last significant snow that we had. I think we had close to a foot that came down in a relatively short period of time. And I got out I left my office at about 7:30 and just drove through, took a loop through the village. It didn't matter where I went, didn't matter, I mean, we're talking the dead-end streets, we're talking the road less traveled in Beach Park, we got a lot of those. There was, the only snow I saw in our streets was the snow that other people put there after we had cleaned the streets. Snow blowers, people shoveling. They know the truck's coming. They figure the truck put it there anyway, so they just put it right back out in the street. But that being said, I have got more compliments. Normally, a guy sitting in my chair doesn't get a lot of compliments. Usually, it's the other way around. You get the complaints, and I get some. mailboxes get pushed over with the snow that we've had this year, and we do our best with that. But I got a letter the other day from a resident that says I drive from my home in Beach Park south into Waukegan and then out into Gurnee, and he says, I don't like leaving the city limits because I know what I'm going to get into. He said, the other day, our streets are completely cleared, and the streets in the other areas that he was having to travel through were virtually untouched. And it just warms my heart to think that we've got a small band of just warriors out there taking care of the snow. And with the amount that we've had this year, and with the challenges we've had with the number of small snowfalls and the icy conditions, and they've kept the roads proper, and I just couldn't be happier with what they do. And I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. We got the best guys in the world, and I just love them. So,
Ditto.
yep. Yep, it just makes you proud. Anyone else want to speak from the public? We have no cause tonight for an executive session. Is there any other business for our board tonight?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Judson.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison and Trustee Siddick.
Hi. Now, how come Donna was not here tonight to remind me to turn on my microphone?
See how it is?
They were already on. When I sat down, this one was already on.